Hey everyone, did you know that the average person spends about 2 hours a day making excuses? That's a whopping 14 hours a week. Now picture this. What if you could achieve your dreams today without any excuses? Sounds amazing, right? So let's get into it. Today we're talking about something we all need in life: motivation. It's that spark that gets us out of bed in the morning, makes us chase our dreams, and helps us become better versions of ourselves. But here's the problem. Sometimes we get stuck. We've all been there, right? You know you have big dreams, goals, and ideas, but you just don't seem to make any progress. Instead, you start making excuses, blaming this or that. And before you know it, you're caught in this never-ending loop of complaints. It's way too easy to blame other people or the situation around you. You didn't get that promotion because your boss doesn't like you. You couldn't hit the gym because you were too tired. Or you can't start that side hustle because the timing just isn't right. But here's the truth. If we want to see real changes in our lives, we've got to stop blaming others or our circumstances. Instead, we need to turn the spotlight on ourselves and ask, what am I doing to move forward? The good news is, once you make that mental shift, once you take responsibility for your life and your actions, everything changes. It's like flipping a switch. You stop letting outside forces control you, and you start taking control of your own path. And that's when real progress happens. So grab your favorite snack, find a comfy spot, and let's figure out how to break free from this cycle of excuses together. Because trust me, the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. Let's get into it. All right, let's get real for a second. We've all faced those moments where staying motivated feels like climbing a mountain, right? So what are some of the biggest challenges that get in our way? First off, there's fear of failure. Honestly, who isn't scared of failing? It's one of those feelings that's just built into us. Nobody likes the idea of falling flat on their face or things not working out. It's natural to feel that way. But the problem is that fear can stop us before we even get started. It's like we're so afraid of what might go wrong that we don't even try. And then, of course, there's procrastination. Procrastination, that sneaky little habit we all have. You know the drill. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll start when I have more time. Sound familiar? We push things off, thinking there'll be a better time to get started, but somehow that time never comes. Before we know it, days, weeks, maybe even months have passed and we're still in the same spot. And finally, let's talk about the excuses. We've all made them. I'm too tired, I don't have enough time, or I don't have the resources to do this right now. These little phrases slip into our minds and create roadblocks. And let's be honest, it's frustrating, isn't it? We want to move forward, but these excuses keep pulling us back. Here's the tough part. Most of the time, we're our own biggest obstacle. It's not just the fear or the procrastination or the excuses. It's the way we let them control our lives. We let these challenges hold us back instead of pushing through them. But imagine how different things could be if we just took that first step and didn't let these things stop us. All right, now let's dig a little deeper into why we make excuses in the first place. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why it's so easy to come up with reasons not to do something? The truth is, most of the time it comes down to one thing: self-preservation. As humans, we naturally want to protect ourselves, especially our self-esteem. We don't like feeling uncomfortable, and we definitely don't like the idea of failing. So when things get tough or uncertain, we start making excuses as a way to avoid those feelings. But here's the catch. Every time we make an excuse, we're basically giving ourselves permission to stay in our comfort zone. And guess what? The comfort zone is where growth stops. When we choose comfort over challenge, we build this invisible wall that holds us back from reaching our full potential. Let's make this real with some examples. Take J.K. Rowling, for instance. Before she became a household name with her Harry Potter series, she was actually rejected by publishers over a dozen times. Can you imagine how easy it would have been for her to make excuses? She could have said, well, maybe I'm just not cut out to be a writer, or people don't like my story, so I'll stop trying. But she didn't. She kept going even when it seemed like the odds were against her. And look at her now. Her books have sold over 500 million copies worldwide. Or think about Michael Jordan. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But did you know he didn't even make his high school varsity team at first? He could have said, maybe basketball just isn't for me, or I'm not tall enough. But instead of making excuses, he doubled down and practiced harder than ever. That's the mindset that turned him into a legend. These stories are powerful reminders that even the most successful people have faced the same struggles we do. They had every reason to make excuses and give up, but they didn't. They pushed through, and their growth came from facing discomfort head-on. So next time you catch yourself making an excuse, ask, is this helping me grow? Chances are it's just keeping you in your comfort zone. And real growth, that's waiting for you on the other side. Now here's something really powerful to think about. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. This quote from Franklin D. Roosevelt really hits home, doesn't it? It's like a wake-up call that makes us stop and think about our own lives. Are we letting our doubts, fears, and excuses keep us from reaching our full potential? Think about it for a second. How often do we hold ourselves back because we're too focused on what could go wrong? We doubt our abilities, we're afraid of failing, and we let those thoughts stop us from even trying. But what if instead of focusing on what we can't do, we shifted our mindset to focus on what we can do? It's all about action. The truth is, we have way more control over our lives than we realize. Every time we choose to take a step forward, no matter how small, we're moving closer to our dreams. But when we sit around letting doubt take over, we're wasting precious time. Time that could be spent making real progress. So if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed right now, just remember, every moment you spend doubting yourself is a moment you could be using to build your future. Let's challenge ourselves to stop making excuses and start taking action. Because the only thing standing between you and your dreams is the action you take today. As we come to the end, let's take a moment to go over the key points we've talked about. First, we need to recognize the challenges we all face when it comes to motivation and making excuses. A big part of the problem is that these barriers are often ones we create ourselves. The moment we realize that, we're already halfway to solving it. We've also seen how these excuses can really hold us back from growing and reaching our potential. But as we've discussed with examples of successful people, overcoming excuses is not only possible, it's necessary for growth. They've pushed past their own doubts, and so can we. The biggest takeaway here? It's time to own our actions and take responsibility. No more waiting for the right moment or blaming outside factors. If we want to achieve our goals, we need to start being proactive. The power to change our lives is in our hands, but it all starts with that first step. So let's stop waiting and start taking action toward the life we want. So what do you think? Have you ever found yourself making excuses, like putting things off or doubting yourself? I'd love to hear your story. Share your experiences in the comments below. We all go through it, and sometimes just talking about it can help us realize how to move forward. And if you're looking for a little more motivation to keep going, make sure to check out some of the other videos on my channel. Let's keep supporting each other and pushing ourselves to grow and be the best versions of ourselves. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on more content like this. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, no more excuses. Let's start taking action today.